We're going to talk about something called literal select statements and show you how to execute really your first queries that you're going to be doing here. So again, if you're not connected to a server and have Management Studio opened, do that now. And just so you guys know, don't worry about these tables that I have here that aren't part of the human resources or part of the standard AdventureWorks tables. There's going to be something that I'm going to have you run later on that'll bring those tables up. So don't worry if you don't have those now, because they're not actually part of the standard AdventureWorks database that you'll get off of Microsoft's website. So once you're connected and once you're in Management Studio, I want you to click on the AdventureWorks 2012 database and then press New Query. This is going to open up a new query window that is connected to the AdventureWorks 2012 database. This is important because each query has to be connected to a database, which you'll actually see up here. So even though I might be looking at this database here, AdventureWorks 2012, my query window could be set up to any of these other databases on the instance of SQL that we're connected to. But by clicking on AdventureWorks 2012 first and then pressing New Query, it automatically connects us to the database that I was highlighting. So what we're going to do first is something called a literal select statement, like I said earlier. And a literal select statement is a select statement that does not directly query a particular table and return columns, but instead it returns the results of a string or mathematical expression or something like that. So in essence, it's a select statement that's not querying a table directly. So we're not going to be returning specific columns and rows of data from a table. So the first one that we're going to work with is, let's just write our name. So all select statements start with the select clause, which you'll notice once I finish it, it turns blue when I finish typing it. That's a good sign. That means that this word that we've typed is a reserved word by SQL Server, and that's usually telling you that you did something right. So we type select, and then we said we're going to write our name. So I'm just going to write my name. You'll notice that instead of using quotations to indicate the presence of a string, and anytime we say string in sort of programming and database terms, we mean text. So anytime we use text or string, instead of using the standard quotation symbol, SQL uses the single quote or the apostrophe. And you'll notice that once you press that button, press that key, it turns red. And that's the color that SQL uses to indicate strings or the presence of a string in your query. So keep that in mind. And for every opening single quote or apostrophe, I need to have a closing single quote or apostrophe. Just like when you're opening up parentheses, you can't have an open parentheses without a closing parentheses. Same concept. So all we've done is select and then our name in quotes, in single quotes or apostrophes. Now we want to execute this query. So to do that, we can either press the execute button up here, or if you'll notice in the parentheses of this, the help text that pops up when I hover over that button, it said press F5. So I'm going to press F5, and it executes the query.
好，同学们啊，这个讲的是比较简单的啊。现在呢，这节课开始，我们开始学一些简单的 select statement，就是什么叫 literal 呢？就是说我们刚开始学的这个 select statement 呢，它不 query data， 就是说它不从数据库里调数据，它只是在这个界面上直接就选出来，这是最简单、最初级的一个练习。那么我们也可以把这个 SQL Server 打开，我们也练一下。Connect， 打开了以后呢，我们找到一个 database， 我们现在只有 AdventureWorks， 那我们就 New Query 点上面这个也可以，点右键 New Query 也可以。可以看我们正在用这个 SQL 2012我们也可以打代码。也可以打 use 什么 database 呢 ？use 这个execute 的OK successful 就是说我们在用这个数据库。好，那么这个可以不要那么我可以打一下select statement。那首先呢， 要打一个 select， 然后 select 是什么呢？我们要打这个单引号啊，把我们自己的所要呈现的一些这个文本格式，就是文字打里边，比如 T1啊好，然后摁一下 execute 或者是 F5，好，它自己就呈现出来了。这个很简单，大家可以自己练一下啊。好，继续往下看。
So the only thing that we see down here in the results panel, which is where all the results of your queries will show up, you'll see Brewster Nolan, which is exactly what I typed here. Okay, so let's try something else. We could do the classic programming example of saying hello world, and I execute that, and it pops up down here in the results panel. Now let's go back to the full name example. Okay, and let's say instead of having my full name on one row and one column, I want it to be on one row, but I want it to have a column for my first name and a column for my last name. So I want there to be two columns here, one that says Brewster and one that says Knowlton. How do I do that? Well, the comma is our way of telling SQL that we're going to be using another column, or we're going to be identifying that another column is going to be expected. So we can sort of use that comma to create two columns here. So I'm going to type select. I'm going to open up one of the apostrophes or the single quotes and type my name, my first name, and then I'm going to place a comma here and then type my last name with both closing and opening single quotation marks. Now if I execute this query, you'll notice that instead of being on one column, my name is split out in two columns. And we have first name in this first column, or everything before the comma, and then everything after the comma goes in the second column. What if we have three columns? Well, it's sort of the same concept. So I'm going to do my first name, middle name, and last name all in different columns. So Brewster, I'm going to place a comma here to say I want another column, and do it again for the last name. Again, making sure that there's opening and closing single quotations around the strings that I want to create. And when I execute this query, now you'll see Brewster, Thomas, and Knowlton, my full name, all in different columns. So this is really all we're going to do in this lesson, and we're going to wrap it up here. The next lesson we're going to talk about mathematical expressions. So how do I do 1 + 1?
那么我们可以继续呢加这个 column， 继续加 ，OK， 继续加，就打逗号啊，一定要打逗号，不是句号，逗号。哎，好，我教大家一个好玩的，这些呢都是我们打出的数据，但是呢会发现都是什么 no column names， 因为我没有给它定义 column names， 所以呢这个它只会出现这个。但是呢正常情况下呢都要给一个 column name， 那 column name 怎么加啊？这个在后面啊打一个 as 什么呢 name， OK， 这个后面打一个 as email as age。 好，这回大家记住啊，看一下会什么样。好，它就会出现这个一些变化， column 呢都是变成 name email 和 age， 所以呢这个大家可以自己玩一下啊。这个软件一个熟练的过程，正常工作场合中呢很少，几乎没有碰到写这种东西的时候，没有这种写法啊，很少很少。因为你写这种的一个报表，你直接去用 Excel 就好了，或者是用 XML。这个 SQL 的话的作用不是在这里 ，OK， 它作用主要是 query database， 所以呢，就是大家就适应适应，玩一玩就好。我们看下一节课。
In the last lesson, we talked about how to execute literal select statements that contain strings or text values. And in this lesson, we're going to talk about how you can execute literal select statements to evaluate mathematical expressions and how the order of operations plays a role in how those expressions are evaluated. So if you have a query window open, great. If not, click on AdventureWorks 2012 and then press New Query to get a blank query window. All right. Again, every select statement is going to start off with the word select. And again, notice how it turns blue. That tells us that, yes, this is a recognized clause. We're good. And we're going to start off with something really easy and just evaluate the expression 1 plus 1. So we just type 1 and then use the addition operator, which is just the plus symbol, and then 1. And I can execute this query. And you notice the result comes out as 2. If I wanted to do subtraction, and let's say select 5 minus 3, we can just use the hyphen, which is the subtraction symbol. If I want to do multiplication, let's do 4 times 4. We use the asterisk or the star to indicate that we're going to multiply values. And we can use the forward slash to indicate that we're going to divide those values. Okay? We're going to stay away from division because there's some weird things that happen that we're going to learn about, and we're going to get back to division when we talk about typecasting and SQL Server data types. So you're going to see a lot of these examples are going to be using addition, subtraction, and multiplication, and no division, and that's for a specific reason. So I talked about earlier that we are going to be looking at how order of operations plays a role in how our expressions are evaluated. And the same order that you would evaluate something on paper is the same way that SQL is going to evaluate a mathematical expression. So I think we all had those, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, or some variation of a phrase to say, to help you remember, parentheses, then exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and then subtraction were the order in which we were to evaluate operations in a expression. So the same process applies in SQL. So if I wanted to do 5 times 5 first and then subtract, say, 3 times 5, by putting them in parentheses, I'm going to evaluate 25 minus, and then 3 times 5, 15, so I get 10. So nothing crazy is really happening here, nothing that we wouldn't expect to happen, but just understand that parentheses are really important, and the proper order of operations that you use to solve any mathematical expression is going to be evaluated the same way in SQL Server. So this is a real quick lesson. That's all I wanted to talk about, is just show you guys how to use some math stuff, because as we
好，同学们啊，这个还可以做什么加减乘除的运算啊？这个很多这个功能呢叫 built-in function， 就是说当初开发这个软件的时候，已经把这个各种各样的计算呐、function 呐、什么东西都加进去了，你直接用就可以了。所以呢，我们也尝试一下啊。首先呢，先把这个给它 comment 掉啊。什么叫 comment？ 就是说前面加两个这个前面加两个横杠，然后呢这一行就没有用了，所以它就失去了它的作用啊。那我们还要写什么 select 的什么呢？这个可以打一个计算嘛，对吧？10加10，然后呢运行一下，OK， 它也20，然后呢，还可以继续运算，sorry， 加上10乘以10，大家再运算一次，还可以继续加上10 减去事件1。好，还可以继续运算，加上10除以角。哦 ，incorrect，sorry。10除以2。好，大家可以自己去玩一下啊，这个很简单。你看啊，这里呢它就没有什么 quotation， 就没有这个双引号。如果把这些加上双引号，它会出现什么呢？不是双引号，单引号，它会出现什么？大家猜？它只会出现这个东西，这就涉及到一个数据类型。OK， 这里面的数据类型呢叫什么数据类型？叫 string 数据类型 data type， 它的 data type 叫 string， 它就是文本格式。它也是什么 text 也是，它俩是一样的。等于，那这些这没有加那个，就是这个它的数据类型是什么？它的数据类型是 number 啊，还有很多什么flow 啊 integer 啊 integer number 等于数字等于这些都是数据类型啊，数据类型。好，这些呢都不参与运算，所以我们要给它一个这个 comment out。我 select 一个 one on one 啊，这是我的一个 selection。然后呢，我后面还要跟一些说明，比如说2020年任老师。好，比如说这个2020年任老师 edit， 这个它作为一个记录啊，这一行代码，比如说是我写的，那我要是运行这个肯定会出错，对吧？因为电脑它不识别这是什么东西啊，但是我前面要加上 comment，OK， 这个就可以运行。同时呢，你打开你的代码又可以看见什么？一些记录的内容。好，先讲这么多，继续往下看啊。看下一个 video。好，下一个 video 呢，首先让你下载一个practice。OK， 这有问题啊。好 ，by 8， 就是说一直让你去运算啊，大家可以自己去做一下，去练习一下。我们看一下这个 basic select statement 啊，这个呢开始从第9课开始呢，我们就开始做 query 了。
In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to execute a basic select statement, which I define as a simple select statement that only uses the select and the from clause and doesn't filter anything out or group or any of the other advanced clauses that we'll get to in later sections. So what you see on the screen is the general form of a basic select statement. So you'll notice that it starts with the word select, and then we specify the first column we want to return, then a comma to separate it from the second column we want to return, and so on for as many columns as we want to return in this basic select statement. I'm a big proponent of making your code incredibly readable and as simple as possible to understand with a quick look at the screen. So I like to separate my clauses, so I put it on a new line, and then we have the from clause. So the select clause identifies the columns we want to return, whereas the from clause says where those columns reside. Where is the data? And so this is the fully qualified database.schema.table name. So you can read this as, I want to select these columns from this table. And that's really all we're telling SQL to do. So let's just kind of take a look at a quick example, and we'll explain this and clarify it as we go. So there is a table in the AdventureWorks 2012 database called person.person, which I see down here. Okay, I'm going to expand this toggle button next to it, and then I'm going to expand the columns folder. So these are all of the columns that belong to the person.person table. Now let's say that I wanted to return for each row the first name column from this person.person table. How would I do that? Well, using the general form, we're always going to start off with select, and then we're going to use the name of the column, first name. Don't worry about this IntelliSense right now. I'll explain later why it's not picking it up at the moment. I'm going to go to a new line, type from, and then I'm going to specify the table name. I type person.person. I don't have to type AdventureWorks 2012 person.person, even though in the general form I had database name, .schema name, .table name. Because we are connected to the AdventureWorks 2012 database already, which we can tell by looking at this drop-down menu, we don't need to specify in the from clause that this is the database that we're actually going to connect to. So by just typing person.person, SQL understands what we're talking about. Now again, to execute a query, I can just hover over this button, press execute, or press F5, which I'll do. And now you'll notice that on the results panel, I have all 19,972 rows worth of first name values in my panel. If I wanted to look at the last name instead of the first name, let's just double click on first name and change it to last name. So you'll notice that now it's recognizing that, hey, last name exists, and you'll see this is a column, and it gives you a little bit of information here. So when we were typing it out initially, we didn't have the from clause specified already like we do now. So SQL wasn't aware what table we were looking at, so they couldn't try to complete the column name. So that's why last name was able to be filled out by the IntelliSense, but not first name when we first typed the prior query. Okay, so to execute this query, again, I just press F5 or press this execute button, and now I'm seeing everybody's last name instead of their first name for, again, all 19,972 rows. What if I wanted to see the first name and the last name column for each row in this person.person table? How would I do that? Well, let's just delete everything again, because one thing I want to really emphasize is practicing writing out SQL code, even the simplest ones, because it helps you remember the form and the steps that you take. So everything that we're going to do starts off with select. We want the first name column. Then we're going to put a comma and then type last name, because again, commas are our way of saying to SQL that you're going to see a new column, or we're going to type another column in here. We go to another line, type from, and we want this to come from the person.person table. I press F5, and now my code executes, and now for each row I'm seeing both the first name and the last name. We can expand upon this. If I wanted to also see the middle name, let's delete last name, put middle name, and then let's add a third column for the last name. And if I execute this by pressing F5, now I see the person's first name, their middle name, or it looks like their middle initial, and their last name. Don't worry about what this null means right now. We'll get to that when we talk about the where clause and when we're filtering data. So just kind of ignore that for now. Now, one thing you're noticing, or you may notice, is that every single time we execute the query, it's returning all rows in our table. If we have tables that are large, say millions and millions of rows, this isn't the best strategy because we're going to take up a lot of computer and server performance, we're going to suck up a lot of RAM, and it might slow down the query. It might take a little bit longer to execute after a while. So what we can do is use something called the top operator. And so what that does is it allows us to limit the number of rows that are returned by our query. So let's just stick with this same example that I have. Okay, so instead of saying I want to see every row's first name, middle name, and last name, maybe I just want to see the top 500. Okay, so to do that, and again we're going to delete everything so we can practice typing it out. Start off with select, and then I want to see the top, so we use this top operator, and then we said 500. Which columns do we want to see? We want to see the first name, middle name, and last name columns, all separated by commas. We go to the next line, specify our from clause. Which table is this data coming from? Person.person. And now let's execute this query. Now you'll notice I still see the first name, middle name, and last name columns, but I only see it for the first 500 rows. So this is important. This is a nice feature. We can also do something pretty cool. So instead of saying I just want to see the top 500, because maybe there's a million rows, maybe we don't know how many rows are in this table. So say we want just a percentage of the total rows. We can actually do that with the top operator as well. So say I just want to see the top 10% of rows. I can just, let's actually practice typing everything out again. So we're going to type select top, let's say 10, and then we just type out %, and you'll notice it turns blue, saying this is a reserved keyword by Microsoft, so it knows something's happening. We want, again, the first name, middle name, and last name columns, and from the person.person table. And when I execute this query, you'll notice that 1,998 rows are returned, which is approximately 10% of the 19,972 rows that are completely contained in the table. We've introduced you to the basic select statement, and we're going to talk about it a little bit more in the next lesson. But for now, practice what you've learned, try to digest this information, and in the next lesson, we're going to expand on some of the.
好，大家呢可以看到啊，这次呢这个课程讲的也是这个 select statement， 这次呢开始 query data 了。好，那么我们也来做一下。首先呢 select 大小写无所谓啊，在这个 SQL Server 里大小写不区分的啊，大小写不区分。那大写就是小写，小写就是大写。好，首先 select 什么呢？我看一下这个 person 和 person table。person 哦，在这里 ，OK column 点开 ，OK select 一个 last name 对吧？那就是 last name，OK，那也可以呢，可以直接拖拽啊 ，select last name，OK，它有的它是带中括号，标准的都应该带中括号，但是你不带也不错。如果要是中间有空格的话，这种的就必须要带了啊。但是它中间没有空格，你可以直接这么学啊 ，select last name，from 这 from 呢写哪儿也无所谓，但是要写在 select 后面 ，OK。那为了更好的格式呢，一般呢都喜欢就是放在 select 下面，它比较清楚的就看着你 select 是什么，然后 from 你从哪儿，对吧？那我也是建议大家就是说以这种格式写啊。好 ，select last name。from 什么呢 ？person 这个 table 嘛，对吧？啊，拖过来，或者是什么自己打也行。那大家可以先 run 一下啊，看一下。好，一共是这么多肉。好，然后呢，我们选下一个 column，OK， 逗号，然后呢 first name， 好，大小写不区分啊，大小写不区分。好，再选一个，再选一个什么呢？person type。person type 啊，自己识别了啊，点一下，好 ，person type， 然后 run。好，那刚才呢，这个 视频里来教一个 select top 啊，这是一个function 啊，咱可以尝试一下 select top 10，然后运行一下 ，OK， 1、2、3前10行，然后它还有什么 select percentage top 1%，OK， 那就是200行啊，这个有意思啊，它一共是10000，然后它是19900多行啊，然后它肯定是这个，我写来 10%，10% 呢是19998，然后 1% 呢它就不可能把这个0.8算上了啊，它就直接选这个200行 ，OK。那么这个基本上这就是这节课的内容，大家多练练啊，多敲一敲啊，多敲一敲。大家看着啊，凡是这个变蓝色呢，说明这个就是写对了啊。这 column 颜色呢是这个绿色啊，都是写对了才会出现这种颜色啊。你要是没写对，它会就出现别的啊。基本上的 cover 呢就是这么多内容。行，如果有什么问题啊，大家这个可以随时联系我微信，然后可以询问我，然后我也会建一个群啊，建一个微信群啊 ，com 的 WeChat 啊 ，WeChat， 可以随时问我。好，然后呢，咱们看下一个 video。
Last lesson, we introduced you to some of the concepts involved in the basic select statement. And in this lesson, we're just going to expand upon some of those and introduce you to a few new topics still related to those basic select statements. So you'll see this is the last query that we ended the prior lesson with. So one of the things you may ask yourself as we went through the last lesson was, what if I want to see every single column in the table? So I want to see all rows and all columns. Well, with what we've learned so far, you might say, well, let me just do this. Let me type out every single column name. So here are all the columns for person.person. So we have business entity ID, and I'm going to make my life easier by putting in the from clause so I can have the IntelliSense work to my advantage. So business entity ID, person type, name style, title, go to a new line to make it easier to read. First name, middle name, last name, suffix, email promotion, and all these other columns. Now I can execute this query, and I have a lot of columns here, and all 19,972 rows that are in this table. Well, that seems like a lot of work. It seems like a lot of typing. Is there an easier way to just get everything from a table? And the answer is yes. And it's using something called select star, is usually the way that we say it, where we type select and use this asterisk from the table that we want. So the asterisk is saying, show me all columns. And since we don't have the top operator, we're not restricting the number of rows that we return. So if I press execute now, I have all rows, all columns, and all rows. So the select star is a nice little feature, but again, we don't want to return every single row of larger tables because it slows down performance and sucks up a lot of server or computer resources. It's just not good practice. What I do recommend, though, especially when you're working in tables that you're not familiar with, is to use the top operator in conjunction with the asterisk or the select star. So let's just go to a new table. Let's look at production.product. And suppose we know nothing about it, we don't know how big it is, and we don't want to take any risks of just hammering our server with a resource-intensive query. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type select top 100, so I just return the top 100 rows, but I'm going to say star or asterisk, so So I want to see all columns for those top 100 rows from what table? Production.product. And I press execute. And now here are the top 100 rows from this table and all of the column details. And if I go down to production.product in here and I expand the columns folder, you could check on your own if you'd like and ensure that every column is returned to the panel, the results panel, which it is. So select star is something that's really, really nice. It's really helpful, and especially when you're working with databases that you're not familiar with or tables that you're not familiar with, it's a good way to just take a look at the data quickly without hurting the server's performance and impacting, say, other people's ability to query. So the last thing that I want to talk about in this lesson, and really the last thing I want to talk about with that involves basic select statements, is something called the column alias. Now, if we go back to the person.person table, you'll notice that most of these column names have no spaces. And in fact, that's usually what you see in databases and tables. Rarely is it a good practice to have spaces in your column or database names. It adds complexities, which we'll touch on in another section or another lesson. But more often than not, you'll see there's either no spaces or there's an underscore in place of where a space might usually be. Okay. So with SQL, we're usually returning data from a database to potentially deliver to business users. As a business user, I don't want to see first name without a space or middle name without a space or something like that. That's not really easily read. It's not necessarily the cleanest way of looking at the column name. So column aliases give us a way to change the name of the column as it appears in the results panel. Now it's worth noting that this does not change the name of the column in the actual database, or I'm sorry, in the actual table. It's just how we see that column in this results panel. That's all we change. Now let's take a look at that. So let's just say I want to select the first 100 first name and last names from person.person. Oops. There we go. Okay. But let's say that I'm a business user and look, I don't want to see first name or last name. I want to see customer first name, or I want to see customer last name, or I want to see something that's a little bit cleaner. So to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to say first name and then type this as operator, which you'll notice turns blue. And anytime we want to use a column alias or give something a different name that has a space in it, we're going to put the square brackets around it. So I'm going to do this. We're going to call this column customer first name, and I'm going to have a closing bracket. And we're going to leave the last name column as is for now. And let's just take a look at what this looks like in the results panel. You'll notice that this no longer says first name without a space, but customer first name with spaces. Now, it's really important that you are aware that these square brackets have been used. If I try to execute this query without the square brackets, it has no idea what's going on. SQL does not like spaces in columns unless you have square brackets around them. It's the only way SQL knows that you're still talking about a column alias. Let's do the same thing for last name. So let's give this the alias customer last name. Again, enclosing it in square brackets. And when I execute the query, you'll see that both columns now have a column alias specified. If you want, and this is a matter of personal preference, you can replace the square brackets with quotation marks. That also works. Okay. So I said in the literal select statement, one of the literal select statements.
好，这个视频讲内容呢，我们刚才在第一次就已经讲了。这个东西主要涉及一个东西叫什么 alias。alias 到底是什么？alias 它就是一个别名，这个比较准确啊。alias 它就是一个别名，就是给它赋予一个名字，这个很简单啊。 我之前已经给大家演示过了，比如说，这个 select top 1% last name 呢，加一个 as 什么呢？my last name， OK， 然后它自动就会出，自动就会出，这块就变了 my last name。那如果中间有空格呢，那你肯定这个就会出错，肯定就会出错。所以呢，有空格呢，咱就给它加上一个中括号，好，它就不会出错。看，然后把这个 first name 变成as 111，person time 呢变成 as 000，好，然后呢，看一下也会出错，为什么？因为这个它不识别，还是要这个，因为它是数据类型，它是什么？它是这个数字它不是 text， 所以呢，我们给它变成括号呢，它就认为它是一个 text。OK， 只有 text 才可以当做这个column name。好，这就是一个别名的功能，还讲了一个 select star 这个才是最重要的select star。这个呢 select star 它是我们做数据分析师或者代码开发，就是所有最常用的一个代码，就 select star 什么什么什么，我要看一个整体的一个 table。select star from 一个 table， from 哪个 table 呢？producting， production 的 product， 好 ，select star， 看看它一共会出现多少条？504条数据。504条，这 star 是什么意思？就是说全部的、所有的、全部的star 它就是全部这意思就是说所有的东西。那个大家记住了这个 star， 好，这个是最常用的 select star。那比如说 select top 10。它就会出现10行，但是呢，它是所有 column，OK， 它所有 column 这个很简单，但这个 select star 呢，是这个最常用的。看一下这个第11个第11个
We talked about at the end of last lesson how we're going to talk about how to query a view instead of a table in SQL, and just what the subtle difference is between a view and a table. So if you look over in the Object Explorer here, and I expand databases, and again we're working with the AdventureWorks 2012 database, we've been looking at this tables folder, but instead let's look at this views folder. Let's see what we have. So you'll notice that they still have the same schema set up: human resources, person, production, purchasing, sales, but the naming is a little bit different, and even the little symbols different. So most views, you'll see V or VW or something like that, indicating that the object is a view instead of a table. And you can think of a view as sort of a virtual table, for lack of a better term. So anytime that you query a view, you're actually executing a SQL statement. So instead of having to rewrite a bunch of joins, which is a concept we'll talk about later, to gather a bunch of related information, we can query a view, which makes our lives a little bit easier. And in later sections, we'll talk about how to create views and a little bit more about how to access them. But for now, just kind of equate a view as a virtual table. So there's a little subtle difference, but we're going to query views the same way. And we're going to use views quite a bit until we cover that concept of joins that I've been mentioning, because if you notice, you'll see a lot of ID columns in the table, and that's again another concept that we'll explain when we talk about database normalization and data warehousing. But the views are going to make our lives a little bit easier, and we're going to see information in a more consolidated way without having to worry about IDs and things like that. So it's going to be a little cleaner. So that's all a view really is, and that's all we have to worry about for now. And so let's just practice a few examples on querying those views instead of querying a table. So I'm just going to click in here and create a new window or a new query. And let's just take a look at one of these views. So I'm going to return all rows and all columns from the human resources.vEmployee view, which we see here. So to do that, again, we start off with select, and then we're going to use the star or asterisk to say that we want to return all columns and from, and again, we're going to type out the full name of the table, the full name of the view, human resources.vEmployee. I'm going to press F5, and you'll see that here is my result set. You'll notice there's a lot of information here. First name, last name, but then the job title, phone number, email address, email promotion, all this sort of stuff about the employee. Well, if I go over here and try to find the human resources.employee table, let's take a look at what that looks like instead. Human resources.employee. Now notice that I'm querying the table, not the view. So I'm going to highlight this, and this brings us to another subtle point within Management Studio. Management Studio will execute either the code that is highlighted or all code in the query editor or query window. So by highlighting just this section of my entire query window, and then when I press execute, it will only execute the code that is highlighted. So that's a nice little feature. So let's execute that, and it's going to take a little bit here, but you'll notice that it looks nothing like the view, the human resources.vEmployee view. There's no names, there's no address information. Yeah, we have some job titles, but we don't have any just clean information. It's all these IDs. Right? So let's just execute the view again. So everything's a little bit cleaner, everything's a little more consolidated, and this is actually why we create views, to make accessing information or accessing commonly requested information a little bit easier. And when we get into later sections, we'll talk about how to actually replicate this view with SQL code, and you'll see why using views can be so much easier if they're created for us. So we're just going to do one more little example because, again, querying a view and querying a table are almost identical at this stage in our SQL development. So just like we could specify particular columns within the table that we wanted to return to our results panel, we're going to do the same thing for a view. So let's clear our window, and let's say that we want to return the first name, last name, email address, and phone number column from the sales.vIndividualCustomer view. So let's take a look at that view here in the Object Explorer. Sales.vIndividualCustomer. You'll notice it still has the columns when we explore the view in the Object Explorer. There's a few other little things that are subtly different. Again, we'll talk about that at a later time. But here's the list of all the columns, so we can see and validate that those columns that I just said exist. And so let's just write a code to return that information. We're going to start off with select like always, and then I'm going to type first name, last name, email address, and phone number. And then we go to the next line. Which table or view are we going to select these columns from? And that's sales.vIndividualCustomer. And when we execute that code, we return the columns that we want for all of our customers that exist in this view. That's all I want to talk about this lesson. Not a huge piece. Just be aware that there.
好，同学们啊，这章主要讲的是什么？讲的是 view。那我们首先你要了解什么叫 view。OK，view 呢，它就是一个中文名叫视图。OK，它是一个结果。比如说我们这个 human resource 这个 view， 我给你看一下结构框架啊。不对，design。design 我们叫 SQL view， 这样啊，这也太复杂了吧？这些呢，看啊，这些 它这个 view 呢，其实就是一个 select statement。OK，select statement 它已经写好了，然后把它呢存到这里。比如说我这个每个月我都要看，每天我都要看一个东西，我就写好了存在这里。所以呢，我下次看的时候我就不用写了。那我直接做什么？我直接就select star from human resource 点 v employee， 我直接选这个就可以了啊。这些代码我就不用选了，然后直接它就出来了，好吧？我看，但是呢，这个 view 的操作呢和选一个 table 基本上操作差不多。你可以删除啊，你可以添加啊，比如说我想选什么呢？那 column 啊，就选什么 title 啊，对吧？First name 啊，这个 middle name 这些都可以啊，都可以。我忘加逗号了，这些都可以，就把它当成一个 table 一样。然后呢，后面我们会教大家怎么去建立这个 view 啊。我经常做这个 view， 因为这个 view 很节省空间啊，还有这个更好的 performance 就是运行速度。First name 写错了 ，OK， 好，选择啊，大家就出来啊 ，job title 啊 ，first name middle name， 好，这个 view 跟 table 基本是一样，它就是一个视图啊，里边已经是一个写好的一段代码。好，继续往下看啊。这个第12个要你下载一个什么？下载一个这个文件，那么我们就下载下来。哎，下载下来以后呢，大家有这个代码练习，这个才是重要的。我可以带大家去练一下啊。首先呢，你正常在工作场合中，也是类似的这个 business requirement。这个你的老板 manager 给你发了一个这个让你去做，所以你要把结果发回给老板，用 email 或者是用什么别的东西发给他这你的工作就完成了。那首先我们要写什么？写结构框架select， 然后呢 from。那我们看return 什么呢 ？return only the national ID number。那我们就把这个复制下来。好 ，select 什么呢 ？national ID number。那从哪个表呢？从 human resource 这个 employee。好，把这个复制下来。你真正在数据库里的话，你不一定你这个 table 就是这个名字，但是这里它给的很标准。好，我们 F5， OK， 就是运行 ，OK，F5， OK， 这呢一共有290条 ，OK， 那这个我们就做完了，这是第一题。好，那我们做一下第2题啊。第2题 retrieve， 那看见 retrieve 呢，大家记住用 select retrieve all rows from the， 这个 all 到底是什么就是说全部所有的，你不给它做任何筛选的，好吧？那这里要什么？还是这个表，这个 table 但是要 return 什么呢 ？return 这个national number and job title 这个和上一个呢就多了一个 job title， 那这个应该是怎么去做 ？OK， 那直接就复制下来就行了。但是呢，大家你们呢最好要用手去打一遍，好吧？最好用手打一遍，因为你这个练习才是最重要的练习永远是最重要的。 好，大家记住，一定要用手打一遍，打一遍什么代码？好，这个咱们尝试一下啊。好，没问题。再往下看，第三个什么 retrieve top 20% of row， 你看啊，这个就没有 all 了，这要什么 top 20%？ 这个呢，同学们一定会，之前咱们都讲了 top 20应该怎么选啊 ，from 什么呢 ？from human resource employee table， 然后呢 return 的什么 national number 啊，这个和 job title 还有 birthday， 我们要什么？这三个 column。这三 column 的 20% 的 row 啊，这个数量，然后从哪儿来？从这个 employee 这里来。好，大家一定要会做这个啊，会做这个。好，那我们就写一下 retrieve 就用什么 select 什么呢 ？national number、job 和 birthday。好的，空格无所谓啊，空格无所谓。然后呢 ，from 什么呢？还是这个表。好，他说要什么 top 多少 20%？ 好，这是一个命令，大家还记住吗？好，没问题，一共58。然后呢，这一行呢，也是一定要用手打一遍代码，好吧？继续往下看啊。好，这个要什么 ？retrieve top 500 rows from 这个 table 啊，这个是我们 from table， 然后 return 什么 number job birthday 啊，然后什么 give the national number column alias，OK， 就是什么这个 national ID number 啊要变成什么 SSN and 什么 job title 叫什么 job title，OK。啊，中间加个空格。好，这个大家会不会 ？copy 一下，这个很简单啊。好，这是练习题啊。首先呢，还是用什么 select， 看的 retrieve 就用 select 什么 top 500 rows 啊 from 什么呢 human resource， 那还是这个 employee table。好，然后呢，我们看我们需要什么啊 return 的什么呢 national number。好 national number， 然后呢 job title， 还有什么？还有 birthday。然后呢，这就是我们需要。然后我们还要给它做什么 alias。alias 啊，大家记住啊，之前这块讲了 alias 是什么来着？别名啊，给个别名 alias， 大家最好还是要用英文啊。那它的 alias 要给它什么呢？要 SSN。OK。SSN job title 呢要用什么呢？要用 job title， 中间有空格啊，中间有空格，那么我们还要打中括号。好 ，birthday 呢没有，好，我们 run 一下啊。好，大家看这个 job title 啊 ，SSN job title， 这空格可能不够明显。好 ，job title。没问题，很简单啊。这个呢，还是要什么？一定要用手打一遍，一定要用手打一遍。好，大家不要学我啊，复制粘贴啊，一定要用手打。等你真正的熟练了，你可以复制粘贴啊。好，看第5题 ，return， 凡是看的 return 呢，那也是用什么 select 啊？也不一定，反正呢，你看它是要什么。 return all rows and all column from sell order table。 OK，return all 用什么呢？大家还记得吗？select 什么 ？select star 啊 ，star 不就是 all 吗 ？from 这个 table 嘛，对吧？大家还记得吗？没问题啊，没问题。3万多点，那一定要用手打一遍。好，继续往下看。好 ，return 什么 top 50% of row and column from。这个和这个一样啊，大家自己练啊，自己做一下，这个就不给你做了。Return the name column from a view 啊，这是一个 view。Give the column an alias product names。OK，return the name column。哦，这个呢要从那个视图里选一下啊。好，先把这个视图这个复制下来。好，我之前说过啊，这个视图操作跟 table 一样。select name， 然后 from 呢，这个视图。好，这个视图以后呢，我们要给它一个什么 alias。这个 alias 我们要用product names。OK。好，这个好，我们尝试一下啊。好，没问题，没问题，没问题。还是一定要用手打一遍。如果你不练的话，这个 C 口你是不可能，也不是说不可能理解吧，理解是可以理解，你是不可能学会的，真正的掌握，吃到自己的嘴里。就是说，当面试官问你问题的时候，你全是自己手写的，你就说你是有经验的人，你就说你是这个做过这个项目。因为什么？因为你确实是一点点一个个打出来了，写出来了。如果你光是记这个，然后你去面试的话，你很容易失败。所以你一定要写，一定要多练，好吧？我们看这第8题啊 ，return the top 400 rows from human resource 啊，这个自己去练啊，这个 top 400。好，这 return all rows and column from the table name， 这个 OK， 这也是什么 select star 嘛 ，all rows and column from table name production bill of material。OK， 这个自己去练去啊。Return the top 1,500 rows and column from the view named。OK， 这个也没什么大意思，大家自己练啊。下面有答案，这个是从 view 里面选什么 top 1500，然后这个是从 table 里选什么star 嘛。OK， 下面有这个答案。很简单，很简单。好，大家练一下啊。然后呢，这个基本的这门课的 select statement 啊，基本介绍呢，基本就完成了第一个部分啊。我们一共有7个 section， 那我们这个一个 section 呢 select statement 就过了啊，很简单，很简单。相信大家学完这些也会自己写一些select 代码了，那所以说已经是开始入门了。那恭喜大家啊，只要跟住这门课，肯定没有问题。